Greetings everyone, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games DS version. And as far as I'm aware, welcome to Day 2 of Paris Olympics 2024. So, yesterday, we've already did somehow tackle through the first circuit of this version of the game, which as a result, we ended up in Mercury Circuit, which not only did we somehow participate in 100 meters, but as well as long jump, and even hammer throw. Now, relatively speaking, when it comes to long jump, I did that pretty terribly, but I do need some bit of practice until eventually later on, so hopefully I'll try to able to actually get around onto doing so. And today, for this video, is that we're going to be continuing things on and move on to the next circuit, which is Venus Circuit, which actually contains, this time around, 100 meter freestyle swimming, and we're still able to stumble across into shooting, and there's also table tennis, which normally on the Wii version you only come across into 100 meter freestyle swimming on Jupiter Circuit on the Wii version, whilst in Journey Forms of on the Wii version on table tennis you can only come across into that on Saturn Circuit. So they managed able to switch things up a little bit when it comes to the event selection. So anyway, the character choice this time around though on Venus Circuit is that we figure we're most able to play ourselves the Blue Blur, or in some cases Blue Justice, and that's of course Sonic himself. So here we go, on to 100 meter freestyle swimming, and of course we can able to actually use the circuit chance right here, so just in case, if we claim ourselves first place, then obviously though, like I said before, since in yesterday, our points will be doubled if we somehow came first place. So either way, we'll accept that. And of course, we can able to actually pull out the stylus out, so just in case we can able to actually do some live swimming techniques. And just like the forms of how it does on the Wii version, depending on what characters you're going to be using, obviously though, they obviously bring in different swimming styles. So for instance, since we're going to be using Sonic, much like the forms of how it does it on the console version of the game, that could be also applied for the future games as well, that obviously Sonic is wearing the life jacket, so just in case he doesn't drown, so as a result you probably get the gist of it. So for instance, about the fact I believe we're about to be able to be going through left and right horizontal swipes and stuff like that. I was assuming so anyway. So either way though, and also as a matter of fact, we have to use either the L button or the R button depending on what specific hand position you're going to be used to. So because of that, since I'm still basically using my right-handed, so this means I can only press the L button while trying to able to recover the actual stamina. Whilst unlike on the Wii version, in order to able to recover certain stamina, you have to press the B button at the right time. So relatively speaking though, this time around though, on the DS version is that obviously we have to press the L or R buttons depending on what hand position you're going to be used to. So anyways, let's begin. And obviously, unlike the console version, obviously though, we have to race against with 8 players, or specifically 7 other players. In the DS version this time, it's now down to 3 players, or to be more specifically, 4 players as a matter of fact. So, as you can tell, since we're going to be keep on getting ourselves 3 music notes, this means that the timing is actually really good. So as a result, as soon as when that particular stamina meter is almost about to run out, obviously you have to press the L button at the right time, so just in case you're able to actually gather some more stamina. So either way, first place as it is. So anyways though, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date of course here is the 27th of July today, in some cases in 2024 today, although originally though, I was trying to able to mention about the forms of that specific news updates when it comes to the forms of the most recent Paris Olympics 2024. Maybe I will try to point things out until whenever we get on to the later circuits to come, because recently, me and Shadow did manage to went to see the new film recently, and that's what appears to be Deadpool and Wolverine. And what do I think about it though? Well, I obviously do enjoy it, much like the forms of how it does it for both Deadpool 1 and 2, although relatively speaking, I was about the fact that like most new films came out during that time period, I'm obviously not going to mention any spoilers for the time being, because, well, I'll let you guys watch it for yourselves. So, and what I honestly recommend it, Well, absolutely, much like the forms of how it does on the previous two Deadpool movies for the sake of 2016 as well as 2018 respectively. So anyway, so let's move on to the next event, which does manage to take place in shooting, and as far as I'm aware, unlike the console version, where basically as soon as you start shooting, we have to do a timing presses with that particular heartbeat in the middle. Well, that is not the case this time around though in this version of the game, because obviously though, as soon as you, you know, not only press the A button for call, or to be more specifically shout onto a microphone, or heck, even especially noticeable if you touch the touchscreen at first glance, then obviously though you can able to actually activate the aiming reticle this time around. So rather than, you know, no need to worry about the heartbeat system. So either way, although the entire event itself plays pretty similar to the Wii version, except the fact that it's now being controlled with a touchscreen. So because of that, and then also not able to shoot the actual specific pistols right at those specific targets, obviously though much like swimming events that we've already did earlier, press the L or R button depending on what specific donated hands you're going to be using. So anyways though, and also as far as I'm aware, that there's no surprise about the fact that recently, for I found out, that Despicable Me 4 has recently reached onto its 3rd place position when it comes to the forms of the highest grossing films has been existence for the sake of 2024 so far, or to be more specifically with the forms of the highest grossing films to be released for 2024. So anyways though, so let's move on to Station 3. So obviously that was about the fact that I was going to try my best able to get myself my perfect rankings, or to be more specifically, trying to get myself my perfect run, at least in every single stations, but I will admit it though right away, getting the emblem for this event on the DS version is actually kind of tricky sometimes, mainly because, as far as I'm aware, those targets can go ridiculously fast in certain stations, like for instance with Station 2 all the way up to, let's just say, Station 8 or something. Obviously though, the timing needs to be exact if you really want to get yourselves your glorious emblem, so because of that though, that could be also applies with any other events as well, which we'll get to those until at some point in the later days to come. So anyways though, and also what I've noticed something is about the fact that recently what I found out, you know what the forms of the actual specific release date is going to be coming up when it comes to the forms of the upcoming DreamWorks animated movie, which is of course The Wild Robot. Well, I do found out that the UK version has to wait until, to be more specifically, well, originally though, in the American version, obviously it's still going to be releasing at some point on September 27th in this year. However, in the UK version has to wait for about a couple of weeks until 18th of October, which is roughly about a day after the release of Super Mario Party Jamboree, and as far as I'm aware, in just about a week before Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. So that's as far as I was going to mention about this right from the start though. So either way, it looks like I'm not doing too great on Station 6, but regardless of such though, we are pretty much still in the lead right now, so to be expected, this is only just the beginning of circuit mode, because like I said before, until on the later circuits to come, it gets a lot more tricky and difficult, and as far as I'm aware, much like the Wii version, the computer players will start to get a little bit more aggressive when it comes to later events, as well as later circuits to come. So either way though, and now we move on to Station 8, and relatively speaking of, that pretty much does it for shooting for a while. So, as soon as we're able to actually just try to concentrate right here. And yes, just like the console version, that's basically though, that we have to go through all 8 stations. So, oh wow, lovely jubbly. So we somehow got ourselves our glorious perfect at the end, although I could have gone for a perfect run, but if only if the fact that trying to get those targets is actually pretty tricky, like I said before, especially I need to get myself my fast reflections, or to be more specifically, trying to get myself my fastest movements when it comes to stylus maneuvering. So anyway, so that pretty much does it for shooting, at least for a while. So now we're moving on to the final event in Venus Circuit. And apparently though, we're going to be doing table tennis this time. So because of that though, and it doesn't really matter if I came in like 4th or 2nd or 3rd for this point, because as far as I'm aware, we've got an insane amount of points, as much as we could. So, and I believe for this particular event right here, that it looks like we're going to be using button controls, ranging from the directional pad, or the D-pad for short, as well as multiple buttons as well. Well, to be more specifically, A, B, and Y. So, at least as far as I'm aware, unlike the Wii version, as far as I'm aware, that the character moves automatically if the actual ping pong ball will come straight towards you, and you have to do a specific timing for the actual swing with the Wii remote. In here though, I get this strong feeling about the fact that I have to do simultaneous, not only for its character movements, but it's also about the fact that I have to hit the ball at the right time. So because of that though, it might take me about a couple of practice at one point, but if I do somehow mess it up at one point, then I definitely need to come back into this event on my spare own time, so just in case I can able to actually start practicing this event until whenever we get to the hardest aspect about this version of the game in particular. So yeah, it's basically kind of like the forms of how the exact same way as the forms of how it does it in let's just say Rio 2016 Olympic Games on not only on the 3DS but also on the Wii U itself as well. But as you can tell, I'm not doing very great, I have to be honest here. But like I said before, hopefully eventually at some point in the later days to come, I might try and able to actually practice the controls as well as the timing aspect when it comes to certain events. So, but I digress. So, also as far as I realize, that the opponents we're going to be face up against in Venus Circuit, which we do have Wario, Peach, and Bowser. So, yeah, kind of an interesting selection as far as I'm usually concerned with, even though I have no idea why does Peach able to actually decide to join in again. Well, I suppose no matter what though, much like the console version, obviously though the computer players' character choices are pretty much randomized every time whenever you manage to able to get into later circuits or anything else like that. So unfortunately though, I somehow lost to Wario, mainly because I do need some bit of practice with the controls, as well as the forms of anything else actually, because I'm still pretty much used to with the Wii version still, plus it's because of the forms I'm still pretty much accustomed to automatic character movements. So yeah, hopefully though we might redeem ourselves once we face off against with Bowser, despite the fact that I believe both Wario and Bowser are both power types, so I might get screwed up every once in a while. So I suppose, well, wish me luck I suppose. Even though despite the fact that I misjudged the actual specific shot, or to me more specifically, trying to hit the ball correctly, so oh jeez. And also you do realize about the fact that unlike the console version of table tennis, rather than just reaching 11 points to win, in the DS version this time around, all you have to really do is basically you have to reach for about 5 points this time. So, at the very least, it makes the entire table tennis event make it a little bit more shorter, rather than just go extremely lengthy and longer, which as far as I'm aware, because of the forms of the handheld limitations. So, but at the very least, we've got 1 point at the very least, but I still couldn't guarantee able to actually try to get into 3rd place or anything else like that. But it doesn't really matter, I suppose, because after all, I'm still in the lead right now, because as far as I'm aware, so far, I've actually got about 30 points total so far. So, no matter what, though, I suppose beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. So, anyway, so ah, dang it, I lost. Oh, dear me. My timing is way off in this version of table tennis. But as I said, I will try to get some bit of practice on doing at some point later on today, because until then again, on the later circuits to come, if these computer players get a bit more aggressive, then obviously though I do need some bit of practice. So anyway, but we still managed to win regardless of overall status quo. So either way, I'm still in 1st place. So this means I can still guarantee to get myself my glorious Venus trophy. So yeah, everything else checks out there. Although we didn't do a perfect run per se, just like the forms of how it does it on Mercury Circuit, but that's just mainly because of the timing aspect I do need to get more accustomed to. So there we go, the 2nd trophy has claimed. So I suppose, with that being said, folks, is that we get endings of this point right here. So join me tomorrow for more Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games for the DS version, is that we're going to be moving on to the 3rd circuit in terms of the beginner's class, and this time we're heading off to Jupiter circuit. So we have cycling, fencing, and 400 meters. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.